folks, back again to talk about raising children in community. So a key concept behind the Bruderhof's educational philosophy is education of the whole child. Of course, this idea is not unique to the Bruderhof, but it's really core to our educational environment.
And broadly speaking, the whole child education seeks to give equal valuation to all areas of life, both physical and mental, and not attach special status to ability in one area or another, because a too narrow focus on any one aspect of education, for example, academics or sports, does really a disservice to children by favoring some over others.
Right. Our schools aim to meet children where they're at. You know, some are more gifted in practical ways, others do better with athletics, and others get good test scores. And it's rare that a kid is good at everything. So, for example, I consistently got a D in shop class, and yeah, I did, for whatever reason. And my woodworking teacher had to finish the coffee table I was making for my parents one Christmas because it was beyond me. I just remember being completely stumped. We did these carved claw legs and had to sketch it out on graph paper, and I just sort of bringing together the drawing and then the handwork was just too much. And they actually still have this coffee table in their apartment, so I get to, when I go there, I get to be reminded of my lack in that area. But I did really good at test taking, so.
Well, that's good. I mean, it sounds highly specialized. I can't imagine actually carving claws for a coffee table. But to me, that also kind of brings to mind how teachers bring their passions and their strengths into the classroom with them.
Right.
So when I was in middle school, one of my teachers, for example, was an excellent gardener, had an amazing green thumb, and really baked that love of agriculture into the academics as well as the physical activities that we did. So hence I love nurturing broccoli plants. Kind of weird, but
no, it's a good point. You know, as much as every child is different, we should recognize every educator is different and brings their strengths to the table.
Right, and now these ideas or this approach is not something we came up with. Education reformers like Blaise Pascal, Friedrich Fröbel, Johann Heinrich Pestalozzi, and Friedrich Wilhelm Förster all had a really big influence on the development of Bruderhof educational philosophy. And their basic insight was that education isn't so much instilling wisdom in a child, but rather drawing out what's already there or awakening it. It has to be a living, dynamic thing, not a rote transfer of facts and figures.
Right. So let's dig a little deeper into some of these reformers' ideas. So Heinrich Pestalozzi, who lived back in the late 18th, early 19th century, replaced traditional educational methods with observation, physical activity, even music, and he abandoned the normal school regime based on punishment. And a key concept for him was this German term Anschauung, which is about giving priority to observation or sense perception.
And Friedrich Fröbel actually derived many of his ideas from Pestalozzi. So his educational philosophy has inarguably had the greatest impact on our communities. Fröbel's most famously known for inventing the concept of kindergarten, a beautiful word that literally translates to garden for children. He's also the one who emphasized the importance for a teacher to be concerned about the development of the whole child, heart, head, and hand, and that school and life, knowing and doing, can't be separated, but should form, in his words, a harmonious unity.
Yeah, Fröbel felt that the goal of education was for a man or woman to understand him or herself and be at peace with nature and be united with God. So not so much the profit motive. And the way to achieve that goal, according to him, is to encourage play. Because in play, children interact with the world around them and become aware of their place in it. And there's this quote I just love from him on this subject where he says, a child who plays well of his own accord, quietly persisting until he is physically tired out, will develop as an efficient and determined person, ever ready to make sacrifices for the good of himself and others. So, Doreen, you must have played a lot as a child.
I mean, I did, in fact. But I do think that's a beautiful way of putting it and so true. Fröbel also felt it was extremely important for the school to be closely integrated with the life of the home and family. And that's actually something that happens very naturally on the community.
Right.
So now we're going to turn our attention to F.W. Förster, another educationalist who was actually in close contact with the Bruderhof in its early years in Germany. He, like Fröbel, believed actual effective education of a child is achieved in the first 4 years. I'm curious what you think about that.
Well, if you're a parent, that's kind of hard to wrap your head around, but I'm sure there is truth to it.
My mom certainly believes there is.
Yeah.
And it does make sense because for him, what was foundational was teaching self-mastery, that self-will is not the first law, which is something a child can start learning from a pretty early age. He's not talking about it as suppression of personal will in a child's life, but as a foundation of the child's growth. So basically, you can learn willpower only if you're able to control yourself and take a stand against yourself. And also, education isn't talking about the big things and glorious achievements, but learning how to carry out the smallest and most mundane things.
Yeah, like making your bed or whatever. Now, it kind of reminds me of this guy, Jordan Peterson, right? The 12 Rules for Life approach.
Yeah, but I mean,
familiar.
we can do a whole separate series on self-help.
No, it's not so much self-help, but important insights. Seriously, Förster was almost prophetic if you think of the time we're living through now. There's this another great quote from him that I want to read. Our technical civilization has cushioned life on all sides more than ever before. Yet more than ever, people helplessly succumb to the blows of life. This is very simply because a merely technical culture cannot give any help in the face of life's eternal tragedy. Here, only inward culture can help. The man of today, externalized as he is, has no ideas, no strength to enable him to master his own restlessness and division. He does not know what to make of suffering, how to make something constructive of it, and perceives it only as something that oppresses and irritates him and interferes with life. The very same experiences through which a person with an active inner life gains power and mastery over life send the rootless modern person into a mental institution.
Amen to that. That's powerful stuff. I do want to mention here as well Bruderhof founder Eberhard Arnold, because the care and education of children was an integral part of his ministry, and his approach was one of reverence for children because he felt that every child is an idea of God and shouldn't be shaped according to adult intentions, but the educator should rather nurture that which is born into a child or awakened from within. He felt that the service which parents, teachers, and the wider community should render a child is to help him or her become what God's original idea meant him or her to be.
No, it's a beautiful insight. And he also felt that the strongest element in education is example, and that everyone within the community is responsible for molding the children's lives regardless of whether they're a teacher or a parent. You know, everybody has a role to play.
Yeah, and the old adage or aphorism that it takes a village is so true.
Yeah.
That's it for the video today, and we appreciate all of you who like and subscribe and bother to watch our videos, and hope to see you next time.
See you next week.